Welcome back, everyone. This will be my brand new Marvel Spider-Man Freshman Year teaser trailer video. They just released a bunch of Comic-Con footage. There's a bunch of Easter eggs here. I will explain what's going on because some of it doesn't seem like it matches up with the MCU backstory for the character. But if you're brand new to the channel, I'll be doing videos for all the big Comic-Con trailers this weekend. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. At the big Marvel panel, they'll be posting the Black Panther 2 trailer. Of course, I'll do a video for that. They'll make a bunch of big announcements. Supposedly, Avengers 5 is going to be a version of Avengers Kang War, but they're going to call it Avengers Kang Dynasty. They also basically soft confirmed that Avengers 6 will be a full-blown Secret Wars movie. So it'll be the Avengers vs. Kang first, and then Avengers full-blown Secret Wars. We'll see when they actually announce that those movies are going to be released. But the whole idea with Spider-Man Freshman Year is that they're doing an animated series in the style of Steve Ditko's art. Like the animation, all the characters of the universe is meant to look like Steve Ditko's comic books in the OG Spider-Man comics. Picture it as being kind of like Spectacular Spider-Man episodes mixed with the 90s Spider-Man the Animated Series episodes. And it's going to start with him being in freshman year, with him getting the spider bite, and we'll follow him through his origin story because they kind of skipped over that during Captain America Civil War. But here's the thing, because of some of the footage they released, some of the scenes, like Norman Osborn is a big character during it, Oscorp exists, Harry Osborn exists during it, he has a relationship with him, and there are a bunch of characters, and the backstory for the character is very different, so it sounds like the show is going to be set in a different universe, and it won't be 616 MCU Spider-Man. Like, it'll be very similar, but there'll be a couple minor differences. For example, like the look of the characters looks very different, looks much more comic book accurate, but much less like MCU versions of the characters. For instance, Doctor Strange looks very different, and in the MCU, when Daredevil is supposed to get his back in black suit, like the black Daredevil suit during the new Daredevil episodes, it'll look a little bit different from this black suit. And yes, you heard that right, Charlie Cox is going to come back as Daredevil during the series. It'll be our genuine Daredevil Spider-Man crossover in a way that you didn't see during Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, that was a Spider-Man Daredevil crossover, but it was more like a Matt Murdock Spider-Man crossover, or Matt Murdock and Peter Parker crossover. This time, it'll be genuine Daredevil doing Daredevil things, being a vigilante, with Spider-Man being in his full Spider-Man costume, although obviously a slightly different version of the Spider-Man costume. Charlie Cox said that this is actually one of the reasons why he came back, so they could do crazy crossovers like this. This is like the beginning of Charlie Cox coming back as Daredevil in a much bigger way. Like, we saw some Easter eggs because of the Kingpin character during Hawkeye. He's also supposed to come back in a slightly different costume during the She-Hulk series and as Matt Murdock, and then during the Echo series, another different costume, and then again, a different costume during the Daredevil episodes. I think it'll be like the yellow suit, a couple of the other Daredevil suits, and then it'll be full-on back in black like the all-new, all-different suit by the time we get to the new Daredevil Revival series. But that's just the beginning. I know you all have questions about Norman Osborn and Green Goblin because one of the villains will be Norman Osborn, who, based on the footage in this universe, seems like he's running a version of Oscorp and has a pre-existing relationship with Peter through Harry Osborn, like they did in the comics. I believe he and Harry are school friends like they were in the comics, and then he becomes sort of a surrogate father to Peter, and it's sort of like a comic book backstory. He cares about Peter and his son, but he's got all this shady Oscorp stuff going on the side. Peter starts to think of him as a father figure. You see him at his house here. This version of Aunt May seems a little bit different from Marissa Tomei. But the funny thing here is this looks exactly like the Captain America Civil War scene, just with slightly different versions of the characters. Like it's Norman Osborn coming here instead of a version of Iron Man. Then eventually he gets the spider bite. We'll see that happen, get a version of that origin story. He'll make his first homemade suit, and then as he's having his first adventures, trying to learn to save people, use his abilities, Norman Osborn will learn about Spider-Man and try to sort of hijack him, like work with him slowly, and then eventually try to twist him to the dark side like he does in the comics and in the movies as well. Join me or die, eventually. They also said one of the suits that he's going to wear during the series will be the Osborn-created Spider-Man suit. Like, Norman Osborn will create a new suit for this version of Spider-Man. I don't know how close it's going to be to the comic book version, but like this is a comic book version of Peter Parker wearing a Norman Osborn-created Spider-Man suit. You can see all the Goblin tech sort of baked into it. They didn't say during the series whether or not Norman Osborn has already become Green Goblin, but I think that we probably also see a version of that happen during the series. And they also did confirm that they've renewed it for Season 2, and Season 2 is called Spider-Man's sophomore year. He was a sophomore during the events of Captain America Civil War, but I'm assuming that they would deal with more Green Goblin stuff during Season 2. Like, that would be a big Season 1 cliffhanger. Then separately, another group of villains seems like they have a version of the Sinister Six. They just have not become the Sinister Six yet, but they all seem like very core Sinister Six characters slowly coming together over the course of the episodes. There's a very comic book accurate looking Dr. Octopus, there's a Scorpion who looks kind of tech-based, there's a comic book accurate Chameleon, the huge dude is actually supposed to be a version of Rhino when he's not in the costume. I'm not sure who the woman with the blonde hair with the mohawk is supposed to be, but she seems kind of like a brawler just based on her fists. This female villain with the black hair, the red streak in the blades might be a version of Tarantula, because they said Tarantula would be one of the villains, and we don't really know who the third version of the character is supposed to be, but they got tied up with Nico Minoru, and Nico is a character during the series, so this could just be a version of Tarantula. I'm not sure who the African-American woman in the military pants is supposed to be. The fire-based villain isn't supposed to be Molten Man, it's meant to be a version of Pyromaniac. The dude with the mechanical legs and the sunglasses is supposed to be a version of Speed Demon. A version of Tombstone is also supposed to appear during the series, but let me know in the comments if you do think you know who Military Pants and the Mohawk are supposed to be. Some of his allies that they showed off in the series will be Charlie Cox's Daredevil, like I said, slightly different back in black suit, and he'll be the Matt Murdock lawyer by day as well. There'll be Doctor Strange, who obviously looks a little bit more comic book accurate to the original Steve Ditko Doctor Strange. Nico Minoru from Runaways, like I said. There's even a scene of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange both trying to save her from some dark being or a shadow demon from another dimension, because she comes from a family of dark wizards, so that's the magic-based connection to Doctor Strange. We also just saw a whole lot of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange together during Spider-Man No Way Home. We'll see if they break this universe during this series too. Also, like I mentioned, they have a version of Harry Osborn. He isn't pictured in this lineup here, but he looked like the Steve Ditko Harry Osborn that you remember from the comics. I don't know who the character on the far right is supposed to be. They didn't name her. The guy in the lab coat is actually meant to be Amadeus Cho of all people, so we'll probably see some more Hulk Easter eggs through his character, and maybe some sort of connection to the Bruce Banner Hulk. We do have the She-Hulk episodes coming up, so obviously they're doing a version of Jennifer Walters' She-Hulk, but I don't know if we're also going to see any Easter eggs for Amadeus Cho or other Hulk family members. There's a lot of big Hulks that they haven't introduced yet, like we're still waiting for Red Hulk because they just announced a version of Thunderbolts, but because William Hurt passed away, it'd be really hard for them to do Thunderbolt Ross Red Hulk. They'd have to do a different version of the character. Nico is standing next to him, like I mentioned, and I don't know who the other three characters to the right of her are supposed to be, or if they're related to each other, or related to the other evil character with Dr. Octopus with the military pants, because they all kind of look similar, so they could be from the same family. And I'm not sure who the football player is supposed to be either, but he seems like he goes to Peter's school. There is no Bales character I could find in Marvel Comics, so you can let me know who you think some of those characters are in the comments below. The slight variation that they made to his first homemade Spider-Man suit is just to have him wearing a hockey-looking jersey with a custom Spider-Man symbol on the chest in blue. The colors are just like a little bit different. They're tuned up just a little bit more. And like his pants are just a little bit different. They did confirm there'd be like 7 different Spider-Man suits on the show, including the first homemade suit in the classic Steve Ditko suit you see in the middle of the lineup here, but it's the red-blue suit. All 5 of these suits include versions of the Spider-Man Slingers team suit. That's the big Easter egg here for those of you that didn't read the Slingers storyline. That involved another team of people that Spider-Man basically gave his suits to. But from left to right, it's Hornet, the black one is Dusk, the classic blue and red Steve Ditko suit, like I said, that was his second suit. Technically, the very first Spider-Man suit was meant to be red and black, which I talked about during my Spider-Man Far From Home videos because that inspired the version that he got during that movie. The white suit on the right of that is either a future Foundation suit, which kind of blows my mind because that also means that the Fantastic Four were in this universe, and this last one on the right is Prodigy. It is meant to be a Kevin Feige-led Marvel Studios production, but I think it's going to be treated in the way that they treat What If, like it is canon to the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse, but it's taking place in an alternate universe. Because like for instance, during Spider-Man No Way Home, when we have the Tobey Maguire Green Goblin come in, and he goes looking to try and find a version of Oscorp or find a version of Harry Osborn, he says that there is no Oscorp that exists in the 616 MCU, and he implies that this universe's version of Harry Osborn has already died. So you can just post all your theories in the comments below, all your reactions. I do love that they tried to be so accurate to the original Steve Ditko art style, but that's kind of the idea with all the Marvel animation series. Like each of these different giant series that they have going that are animated, try to have a very different style and look to them. The only animated shows that are going to be similar, I think, are going to be the Marvel What If and the Marvel Zombies series, because Marvel Zombies, I think, is meant to be a spin-off of What If, so it's going to be like the same people animating it in the same style. I've already done a What If Season 2 trailer video, so I'll link that at the end of this and down in the description, but I will do a separate video for the Marvel Zombies teaser, and I'll do a teaser video for the new X-Men 97 preview that they showed off in the next couple of days, so make sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. The real big news is that the big Marvel panel is happening later tonight as I'm posting this video. I will do a video for the Black Panther 2 trailer next. You can click here to watch that. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and you can click here for my What If Season 2 teaser trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.